Welcome to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I'm your host, Patty Lynch. Have you ever seen an amazing shuffler at a show or festival and wondered, how did they get started? How did they develop their skills? And who are they beyond the dance floor? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring in the show. We'll dive into the personal experiences of the dancers that make up our beloved community. We'll be learning more about who they are and what makes this dance so special to them. So, with that, let's jump into the show and let's get curious together. Hello to the Shuffle Curious community out there. This is episode 19 of the Shuffle Curious podcast. And in this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with my friend Shambo. And I really enjoyed this conversation. I was just speaking with Shambo on Instagram, just exchanging a couple voice notes here and there. And I was just expressing to him, how deep we were able to go in many of the topics that we were speaking about, whether that be, mindsets, his own personal journey with dance and just in life, and then also just belief systems around those topics as well, dance and life in general. And it was just very refreshing to have a, beyond the surface or, go beneath the surface with many of these topics. So it was an absolute pleasure. But as for Shambo, he was more of an athlete, growing up. He always loved music and was always drawn to that. And he really started dancing kind of later on when he got into college and just started goofing around. But didn't really take it seriously until after when he found shuffling and a couple other dance styles that really resonated with him, such as jukin. And, he made a pact with himself to really surround himself around other dancers and to take it more seriously by the time that he moved to Denver. And, he started to really struggle with finding his flow and really how he wanted to look on the dance floor. But he tapped in and, just speaking from my own personal opinion, he has made crazy improvements over a very short period of time. And I absolutely love his flow. It's awesome. And, throughout the conversation, I really appreciated this as well. Shambo just praised all of his inspirations and also praised the shuffle community for what it is, very inclusive and very conducive to learning as well. And he has also gone about creating a community in his wake, being a co-organizer with the Vibe events, which stands for Vibrate Your Best Energy, here in Denver. And they basically throw, park parties where people can just go to, use flow toys, dance. There's shufflers that always show up to these. There's DJs, so live performances from DJs, which actually helps, the local DJ community here for people just to get gigs. And to showcase, what they're all about behind the decks. And for people just to really play in all aspects, whether you are just, out and enjoying the music, whether you are behind the decks, whether you're, a dancer, enjoying your time there and just dancing in front of everyone. There's always like a little dance circle going with all types of styles. So it's very cool to see what he has helped to grow here in Denver and to just give a platform for, a lot of like-minded people to gather in this sense. So absolutely loved speaking with Shambo. I think you guys will too. So without further ado, this is my conversation with my good friend, Shambo. Enjoy. Shambo.
We're going?
Yeah, we're rolling.
We're rolling?
It's happening.
I need to get my posture right, actually.
Do it.
I realize I've been kind of slouched here.
Let me do it with you.
We
Get my shoulders back.
We just shared a few breaths. I really loved that. I appreciated that. But I should have straightened my spine beforehand, but it's okay. We're here.
It's quite
We're
okay.
here, yes. Yes, man.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm excited for this.
Thank you for this.
Of course.
And for all those listening to this, I send my love. And this is going to be a fun one, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're going to keep it raw, keep it real, authentic. Don't really know what's going to come out, but that's the best part.
That is the amazing part because, you just never know how the unpacking will kind of manifest. And it's always so unique and special, in its own right,
We're going to talk about shuffling probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like we might like dabble into that.
Just sprinkle some of that in there.
Yeah, just a little bit for good measure.
All right.
But dude, it's amazing to have you on the show.
Yeah.
It's been like you were one of the people who was very enthusiastic about when I just mentioned what I was doing and how it was coming to fruition. You were like, "That's sick," like I saw it in your eyes. You were absolutely enthralled to to like want just to support it, want to be about it, want to be a part of this, you know what I mean? And dude, you've been a part of my shuffle journey like throughout like my time in Denver. And like you were one of the first people who approached me to do like shuffle lessons and things like that. And I was like, wait, like am I even good enough to do it? Like it was like imposter syndrome. Like when you did that, and so like, you were an encouragement for me from the very get-go to like to rethink my position like in the shuffle community, and like to kind of knock it off and be like, okay, there's someone who wants to learn from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
right.
Let's take this seriously, and like the honor in all of that as well. So thank you for being
You're welcome.
that person from
You're
like
welcome.
the get-go,
Thank you.
because I think we all battle with that a little bit, those mental blocks and barriers, and we were kind of talking about that a little bit offline, and we can definitely get into it again, but you've been paramount in my shuffle journey, man. And
well, thank you.
Thank
you for receiving it as well, and yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
And but that was actually shortly after we had met that you had approached me in that manner, and it was a MHS meetup early 2022.
It was,
and it had to have been either January or February.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
It was
on
winter.
that.
It was
wintertime. It was winter, but it was
a
like
nice day in the winter.
Yep.
Cheeseman Park.
Exactly. Like
gotta love them.
Yep, Denver.
those days.
That happens sometimes. Sometimes we get snow in May. Sometimes we get nice days in January. Like we don't like the rules. We don't pick the rules like Mother Nature does.
We don't.
But
she's awesome. I love Mother.
She's a vibe. She's a vibe.
She's great.
But
it's quite sunny in here too. The light I threw this on, but I'm realizing as I'm looking at you, there's like a kind of like it's like reflecting off the corner, so I don't want to create any weird light refractions or anything.
Understood.
Got a little distracting, so I tried them, but I'm gonna take them off.
It's all good.
We're just gonna leave them there. But
if you're like leading up to like a really good point, you can like put them on
just
real quick,
on.
and then to be a little dramatic.
I probably will do that, or I'll go in my bag. I got a couple other pairs,
Try
Or
them all.
wear them, but kind of lower, where I'm like, not looking through them, but they're on me. I could do that too.
Understood. You do you, man. We're just gonna speak our truths this whole entire time, and express ourselves exactly the way that we want to express ourselves with this little microcosm that we're creating. So
beautiful. Thank you for creating this platform, this container to really let go and speak that truth. And you mentioned
the meetup,
the MHS meetup.
Where we first met.
That was my first ever Mile High Shufflers meetup. That was shortly after I had discovered what Mile High Shufflers was. And when I discovered what Mile High Shufflers was, I was just so delighted and excited to know that exists. That there's a community of people that are sharing this dance, and this shuffle dance, at that time, a year and a half ago or whatever. First of all, like, there was no putting the ER behind shuffle when talking about myself. Like, I was not a shuffler. I was not a dancer. I had not grown into that. Like, I had not stepped into my power in that
archetype
way, in that way.
Yeah, that identity.
But I wanted to, I really wanted to get more intentional with my dancing that I had recently started in my life. And when I came out here to Colorado, a big goal of mine, particularly last year going into 2022, is kind of like my New Year's resolution. I don't really do those, but like, it was like the perfect time to get intentional about meeting dance friends, friends who share that same interest and passion in dance. Because I felt like I was kind of alone with it, especially because I moved out here. All the people that were like my dance buddies back home in Illinois, I was no longer with them. So it was like, I need to meet some people. And so I went to this meetup. and you were one of the first people I came across. And something about the conversation with you. First of all, just the wholesome embrace. I had recognized you, actually. I think I had seen you on social media through Mile High Shufflers. So you were a recognizable figure to me, and so I felt comfortable just approaching you. And my approach was just received so wholeheartedly and wholesomely, and I appreciate that so much. And something that you said really stuck with me, where you're like, just integrate, man. Like, just step into this pavilion and be open to approaching the people that are here, because they'll be open to receiving you. And you just encouraged me to integrate and to get comfortable in that space, because I was not comfortable at first. I was quite intimidated, and I'm sure like everyone has that story to tell.
Yep.
And like that imposter syndrome, like you were saying, so I won't beat a dead horse with that, but like, yeah, like meeting you was really crucial to me at that time, and here we are. Fucking A, man.
And
what a blessing this is. What a blessing.
And let's get one thing straight. You probably articulated what I said that day more eloquently than how I actually said it that day. I was probably just like, yeah, see those people, like go be friends with them, like like I love you, but just jump in, like that's probably what I said.
You did say you said the word integrate though, and that stuck with me. Got it. And I use that word a lot more now ever since, but yeah, so that's amazing. Definitely very fond of that time. And yeah, just that first Mile High Shufflers meetup was, kind of like a catalyst for a new chapter, a new journey. But as you were going on to say.
Oh yeah. No, that's, I feel like a lot of people have that experience rolling up to meetups, and it resonates with me, because like that's how I felt as well. And it, like how you were to me, I was you to our friend Trent. Do you know Trent? Yeah.
Trent.
Yep.
Trent's the man.
So Trent,
I love you, Trent.
I love him too.
Oh my gosh, man.
So he was my embrace. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he was the person who basically did what I guess I did for you.
Sure.
My first meetup. Like he was just so down with the core group of friends that puts on these events for MHS and the organizers and things like that. And I had recognized him, you know what I mean, from the page and things like that. And I felt that he was a smiley face that I could talk to and feel comfortable around with. So I approached him, and he very much made me feel comfortable in that space. And to the point where the only video that I got from my first meetup was me in the circle doing a lot of like shapes and things that I don't necessarily do a lot right now. But like I just in that video, I hear Trent's voice being like, "Go get it, Patty!" Like just like cheering me on. Yeah. And it's like we met an hour ago, but he's bringing that energy, that inclusivity, that the welcomeness that we typically bring to those meetups, like the "you can dance with us" type of vibe.
I had a very similar, bless you, very similar experience with Trent actually at a recent meetup. Because even though I do come to the meetup sometimes, and I have integrated semi-deeply with the community, I haven't been so much of a regular the past year or year and a half. A lot of that has to do with my availability, my work schedule, and things like that. But so it's still, I'll go to a meetup, and then sometimes several months will have passed before the next one happens, or before I can go to another one. And so there's still that intimidation factor sometimes for me still, going to these things and feeling fully comfortable. And just recently had a very similar experience that you had with Trent, where like it was my first time meeting him, and he's just such a light, such a warm embrace, and the conversation was so authentic and so thorough, and he like captured a little video of me too, and then we hung out, and he's just so encouraging vocally and energetically, and so yeah, that's my piece on Trent, because he played a very similar role for me. And I think that it's not just him, and it's not just you, it is the community at large. the shuffle community specifically, you could talk about the dance community at large and like the different, subsections of dance and the different styles and the communities and those styles. But it's something about the shuffle community that is really, I feel like I underestimated the inclusivity at first. And you do have to do your part to kind of step into your power. But when you do that, you land in a feather bed. Like if you just take that leap of faith, like this company is going to catch you and hold you and support you. And like you jump in the cypher, you're going to hear your name being celebrated. Like it's not like,
and if they didn't catch your name, they're just cheering you on.
Who's this guy? You know what I mean? And then like, oh, let me go meet him now or her, or them. And so it's, just beautiful.
Isn't it wild, man? Like, it's almost like we have our own microcosm that has its own rules and own appreciation for one another, own values that just kind of paints this picture of extreme acceptance. You know what I mean? But like I love what you said. Yeah, radical acceptance. I love what you said. Like you need to do your part as well. Like you're never entitled to the good graces of everyone. I think that when you show up, good graces are given in that moment, but it's like showing up over and over and over again and giving people the data points that you want to be there, you want to participate, you want to be a part of this community, you want to do it in a pro-social way, feed into like this ecosystem essentially. I think that's also important too, because there might be some people out there who are like, the shuffle community is super inclusive, and so like that means that I can show up and I can have the familiar bonds and the communal bonds that everyone else has, but it doesn't necessarily always work like that. The reason why the familiar bonds and the communal bonds are so strong is because people come at a frequency that just creates that fabric and strengthens it like no other. And so I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but
please do.
It's you kind of still need to earn your stripes, if that makes sense. You need to show up time and time again, and show that you want to be a part of this, and then like that's when it really becomes special, just to show up every once in a while, you're still going to get a lot of value out of it, and people are still going to embrace you and do all those things, but to like there's like an inflection point where it's like you jump head first into this, and I think that's when you get like the most out of it. You know what I mean? And I'm not painting this picture because I know you said that that like sometimes work dictates how often you can come, and I'm not saying that like you haven't been around or anything like that. I'm just saying that like kind of finding your tribe within this, because there's many different shuffle communities, and really digging into those. I think it really serves everyone in a huge way. Yeah. So you were gonna say something though?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I did say that I don't come around all the time, and I'm very conscious and aware of that, and aware of the reasons behind that, and kind of taking what you're saying as feedback in a way, because like I have been in that position where I've recognized that I do have to do my part in order to fully optimize the immersion in the community and to fully be seen. You know what I mean? I have to give what I'm expected to get. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what it all comes down to. And I really am determined to like keep being in keep showing up. Showing up for people, showing up for myself. Like that's a big thing. Like showing up to these events is like a matter of showing up for yourself. Like because sometimes it can be intimidating or scary, or like you'll come up with like reasons as to why you want to stay home, or just come up with these little micro excuses like, oh, I'm just gonna like lay low tonight,
or like I gotta lug all this stuff over there.
All that. I was really disappointed that I missed the like the first ticketed event for Mile High Shufflers, but like straight up, like I was at work until midnight. But here's the deal.
You work a lot though.
But I work evenings and I work weekends. I always work on Sundays and Saturdays and evenings, but not for long. I'm leaving my job. Bullshit.
You heard it here.
You heard it here. No, they know. But so I am very excited for this summer because it's going to be like full throttle, following where my heart takes me. And when I tell you that my heart takes me to these meetups, my heart takes me to Cheeseman, my heart takes me to, you know, the containers created by the Shuffle community and the Shuffle meetups. Like, my heart takes me there. So if I give room for that to happen, it's going to happen. And so I'm really excited to just keep increasing my attendance per se.
Yeah. I'm not keeping track, man. I love seeing you every single time. You know what I mean? Like, I
could have come to that ticketed event, like, technically, because I got off around 12:30 and it went till 2.
Dude,
so I could have showed up. I could have showed up for an hour, right? Like,
funny story about that. It was about 1:00. And the second DJ who played, he was having such a good time. Shout out to Nico Sontag. He came up to me. He was like, "Hey, me and my buddy want to throw a techno set. We'll do it for free. Can we go until 3:00?" And I was like, I need to ask my mom. And so I went up to Dee Dee. And I was like, Mama Deeds, shout out.
For some reason, I was like, okay, like, your mom might give a shit. You know?
That's our metaphor.
I love it.
For Dee Dee.
Great podcast with Dee Dee, by the way.
Yeah.
Really
she was. I love that conversation with her. But
until 3.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. Dude, we should have blasted that out to let everyone know. But like, I asked her, then I asked the organizer, or excuse me, the event space owner. You know, I was like, "Can we go till 3?" And he was like, "Yeah, throw me an extra $50." Shout out, James. I love you for letting us do that. James. And we went an extra hour. And it was so much fun. So yeah, next time, dude. That will not be the last of those, because it was a crime how much fun we had that night. Sorry,
it was criminal. Yeah. This should not be allowed.
Yeah. But
too many stomps.
It all just came together because we had that extra hour it was a no-brainer because everyone was just we were having so much fun. So yes, more to come with that. And we're talking about the MHS Past Curfew event. It was one of the first meetups that we did indoors that was coordinated by us, and it was just a meetup. It wasn't like a show or anything like that. We brought a bunch of local DJs. Some of our fam played as well. We set up different cuddle puddle areas and things like that. It was so much fun. But
and MHS does stand for Mile High Shufflers.
Yes.
If you're not aware.
Yeah.
I remember there were a couple of times I heard MHS. I'm like, my slow ass was just like, oh, but.
What did you think it stood for?
I don't know. I didn't think anything. I was just.
Sorry, I say that very, just like loosely, and I sometimes forget because it's just in my vocabulary.
I think we already threw out Mile High Shufflers several times in this recording, but just to be clear,
Dude, we've been talking a little bit about just stuff, but like I wanna redirect it at you. This is how I know it's going to be a really good conversation. But for the listeners who just don't know much about you, except for the 20 minutes that we've been going back and forth, I would like to know like where you're from, how long have you been in Colorado, and I'm gonna save my next question. Answer those because I hate laying too many questions on people and then it gets them.
I didn't bring notes. I don't have anything to write down. It's all coming from my noggin and my soul here. So
where are you from? How long have you been in Colorado?
Mm-hmm. So I was born in Iowa, but I moved to Illinois when I was 3 years old, and that is where I grew up. Grade school, middle school, high school. I went to college at University of Illinois, the U of I. Such a big part of my journey, dance journey especially. And when I graduated, I had, like, my sophomore year of college, I took a trip out here to Denver during spring break. First time I ever came out here, and it just really spoke to me in a lot of ways. Just the the environment, the nature, the beauty, the people, the weather, the culture, the music, it just really strummed a chord in my soul. I could feel it in my nervous system. Like, this place is cool. It feels right, So I was like, yeah, it was kind of on my radar for moving out here. Post college. And so when my senior year came around, prime COVID season, I was applying to jobs and, got a job with Amazon, and they were going to relocate me. And I opted for Denver, and I ended up getting it. So boom, I was coming to Denver, and that was winter of 2020. So I moved out here officially in February of 2021. So I'm just having to think about this right now. So I've been here for 2 years, about 26 months, 2 years, 2 months.
Okay.
And woo, what a time!
Yeah.
What a time it's been. It's brought me right here. It's and it's just it's beautiful. I'm so thankful for every section and chapter and page of the journey. But yeah, a large part of my life has been spent in the good old Midwest, Illinois, Southern Illinois by St. Louis. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started for me.
Dude,
yeah.
That's actually really interesting that we had similar moments for when we were deciding that we were going to make this place our home. I visited my friends in CU at Colorado University at Boulder my sophomore year of college, and that was the trip that I was like, yo, there's something about this place, So that's very interesting that we kind of had the same. Yeah. How old are you, by the way?
I just turned 25.
25.
So
okay.
I was born in 98.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. I'm a little bit older, but the same part of
your timeline.
Yeah, my
timeline.
Exactly. I had it earlier, but it was just because I was older,
Yeah.
But very cool.
Very cool, man. Yeah. I just felt it in my bones, man. It's like there's something about this place, so I just followed that, and here we are still.
Yeah,
wasn't sure if I was gonna stay, but
yeah,
there's a lot of resonance, so I stayed.
100%, man. With that, I've got 2 more questions for you, just kind of in your background. First, how long have you been shuffling? And number 2, how were you as a kid?
How was I?
Yeah,
as a kid.
Who were you? Yeah, yeah.
So.
how were you? How was you? Yeah, whatever.
I was like this, just like flabbergasted, like hopefully had a smile on my face, but definitely didn't have a smile on my face all the time. If we're being honest, I kind of. I learned at a really young age that I had a lot of potential in a lot of areas, a lot of athletic talents, a lot of coordination abilities, and got into sports at a really young age. So that became a really big part of my identity. I started playing t-ball at 5, basketball at 6, and then that just carried me through, a large part of my early and middle childhood. And I was always I was damn good at the time. And so it kind of created this ego in me a little bit, and was also kind of given this golden child status, a lot of praise from my parents and friends and parents of friends, best player on the team and this and that. And I'm not saying this right now to stoke my ego. It's actually a big part of my journey, and things that I had to work through as I got older and started to learn that I wasn't good at everything. And then, all of a sudden I'm not the best basketball player. all of a sudden I'm not even playing in college and this and that. So it's but you asked me who I was as a child. And as a child, I was, a pretty just hardcore athlete. But I was a softie at my core. I was an artist at my core. I was, and that I didn't tap into till much later in life. And we'll get to that. But it's really interesting that I was a very sensitive child. I didn't fully fit into that competitor warrior archetype that was expected of me as an athlete, as a jock, and I got into I started playing piano at age, 8, because my mom made me. And to be honest with you, I was a natural at it. I picked up on it really quickly and just hated about every second of it. Was it because I hated actually the action of playing piano, or was it because I hated how I felt people were looking at me because I was playing piano?
Or maybe because your mom was making you do it.
Or my mom was making me do it. Right. And it wasn't like my own sort of something that I found on my own.
Yeah.
But, I was really attached to that jock athlete identity. And so when I was getting into these other things, I just felt like it was compromising who I was supposed to be. And my athletic jock friends would laugh at me and poke fun at me because I had to leave the backyard to we were playing games and I had to leave the backyard because I had my piano lesson. And I hated it. But so I stopped playing piano when I broke my wrist playing basketball in 6th grade. So that was my excuse. I was fuck yeah. I'm out for the season, but at least I don't have to play piano anymore.
Sacrifices.
And that's when I just started playing MW2, man. Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 just came out, and I was, I had my was trying to play with my cast on, and so I was a gamer too, big gamer, and that injury is what took me away from having to play piano. But by that time, I was already in the band. I started playing saxophone in 4th grade, and then I quit that in 6th grade as well when I broke my wrist. And so it's I try, I was exposing myself to the arts and to music, and I was good at it too. And because there was talent there, because there were signs that I was supposed to be doing it, but I was just so attached to my athlete archetype.
Yeah.
And it was just played a huge part in who I thought of myself to be, and my ego, and who I wanted to be seen as. I had these ideas in my mind of how I wanted to be seen, and it wasn't to be a band geek, it wasn't to be it's just dumb.
What do you think that was about? Is it because you were receiving validation, in a very impressional time of your life where it's okay, adults were saying you're the bee's knees, you're shit hot, right, because you are good at the sports, right, but maybe you weren't getting the same validation when you sat behind a piano, when you were playing a saxophone, and you didn't have the camaraderie around it as well, such as a team sport. What do you think that is? I'm just putting on my Freudian kind of mind.
Terrific point. Because musically I received the validation from my parents, but my parents' validation by that point in time, by the time I was 11, wasn't my top priority. My validation priorities were my peers, my friends, the girls, the things like that. And so, and I got that validation in sports. And I mean, by 7th grade basketball, that's when we had cheerleaders. So it's now we got cheerleaders out here, and they're literally here cheering us on, and we were good.
We gotta perform. We gotta we were damn. We gotta get it done.
Yeah, we were damn good. Shout out Tientez Anthony, Jalen Jones, Drew Millis, Carson Von Alst. Man, we were raw. And it was fun. And so yeah, received a ton of validation for the sports side, and then when it came to the musical side, it was no one was really enthusiastic about it, except for the people that were in music, which were the people that I wasn't close with. So their validation didn't really matter to me anyway. And so that's a terrific point. You're totally right about that. Totally right. But it all played a big part in my journey.
100%, man. So
we'll get into it.
Yeah. And we'll kind of start teasing at it now. So I just want to really quick, and I'm going to backpedal from this question. How long have you been shuffling for? At this time?
Shuffling. So, and I will say one more thing about, my childhood too. I did love music. I didn't particularly love band music and piano music and Beethoven and stuff, but I got into hip hop at a real young age. The first time I heard a rap song, I was hooked. My parents wouldn't even let me listen to it, but I just found a way, and I was on YouTube my whole childhood and just got exposed myself to that. And that is what eventually led me to stepping into, dancing and eventually shuffling, as well as my love for music. and I tend to resort to interpreting music through movement. And, shuffling, that came along when I discovered, the 120s, the 130s, I discovered house music and like EDM at large in college. I'd heard it, I'd heard of Skrillex, I heard of Skrillex in high school. I heard some of his stuff and all that, but like, it wasn't until college where I, about 19, 20, where I was exposed to these new, types of music, and I was already like kind of like enjoying like moving my body to music. And so when I heard house, I started, I knew the SpongeBob. I know you're asking for like an answer, like how many years have I been shuffling? Like how long? Because I really don't.
I got SpongeBob.
It's hard to really. So when I was 11 years old, I went on this church retreat, and that was like hardcore, like party rock anthem.
Yeah,
like the party rock anthem song was out.
The midst of that time.
Maybe I was in like 8th grade, so 13, whatever. And I went on this church retreat. And I remember the weather got really bad in the gym, so like some of us had to like go. Well, we all had to like go to like I remember I ended up in the basement of one of like my PSR teachers' houses, and there were like 20 of us down there. We're all gonna like camp out down there until the storm was over, and we were listening to the party rock anthem. We're talking about it, and there was a guy there who like just started doing the SpongeBob, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw that, like that's so cool. And then he started teaching it all to us, and I got those steps down, and just kind of like marinated the SpongeBob for like the next like 7 years, the next 7 years, and then by the time I get to college and I start hearing house music, I'm like, and I feel this knack to like shuffle my feet to it.
Yeah.
Really, it's like I didn't even really know what shuffling was. It's like I just kind of want to move my feet to this, and then I started doing the SpongeBob. I was like, oh, and then that's when I like learned about the Running Man. I can't remember if I like saw it in a video or someone showed it to me, but that's when I started doing the Running Man. So I guess you could say that by the very first Running Man I did, which was probably like age 20, I guess you could say I've been shuffling for about 5 years.
Okay.
But have I been shuffling with the intent of continuing to shuffle and getting better and leveling up and learning new moves? No. Like I just was like, I enjoyed just like flailing around to music in college and dancing, and like not for the sake of getting better or anything. So my intentional shuffle journey started probably like when I moved out to Colorado. So about 2 years. About 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
There's my long-winded answer to a very simple question.
No. That's actually perfect, because you're already touching on like life before shuffling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I wanted to.
I don't know how it all
elaborate
happened.
on.
Like, this happened, And
it was serendipitous. It sounds like.
I wish I could remember the name of the guy who taught me the SpongeBob at age 12.
Do you think that was like ground zero for your shuffle journey though? Like learning the SpongeBob, or like what, like where was like your origins, so to speak, like where you're like, I want to learn how to do the Running Man. It seems like it's a fundamental move of this shuffle dancing thing.
Yeah. Is that thunder?
I think it is.
Whoa.
Get a little thunder.
I love it.
Yeah.
The origins, the geographical origins for me was this place called the Red Lion. And this was, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it, the top bar, the top club, top college bar at my college campus, and I worked there.
Uncontested.
Uncontested. And I hope some of my lovely friends from college are listening to this, because that place just. Oh my goodness, it will. I hold it so near and dear to me in my heart. And that place, that environment with the music, there's always a DJ throwing down, and the energy in there was just so energetic. It's high vibrational, and obviously a lot of alcohol consumption, so that kind of maybe brought the vibrations down. But there's like a whole. It was cool. That's where I started getting down with my feet, and I am fairly certain that is the first place I ever tried executing a Running Man. Yeah, it was. I couldn't tell you the exact time. I want to say it was like a Friday happy hour during my sophomore year, in my number one Trent Frazier jersey, Illinois Trent Frazier, and just started like, just doing it, because they played a lot of house music was getting like. Really, it was almost like trendy when I was in college. There was like this whole like concept of like go deeper. Like they would like the bartenders would like lift up these cardboard signs that they wrote in Sharpie. They would write "Go Deeper," and they would lift it up and point it toward the DJ, and then the DJ would like start playing like deeper house music, and it was like this whole. And I was like, what does "Go Deeper" even mean? But all I know is when it was signaled, house music came on. And I was like, okay, so this is house music, and I guess this is deep. But basically, like, it was just a big thing, like in Greek life, and just like the party scene and the bar scene, and yeah, that's my origin story, is like just being in those environments and feeling compelled to start moving my feet to it. And yeah, having known the SpongeBob already, the party rock anthem SpongeBob, just like helped me kind of acquaint to Running Man a little bit quicker than maybe like normal. But yeah.
So you feel okay. So that bar was like your incubation.
The Red Lion.
Yeah,
that was Lion. The incubation. Yeah, that was it.
Incubation chamber for any kind of glimpse of a shuffle journey.
Yeah, and dance journey in general, and just feeling comfortable dancing like around people.
Yeah,
and like allowing it to be part of who I was.
Were you an outlier in that environment? Were there other people who were joining you in this? Were you the guy in the corner? Like what? Like did you gain notoriety for being that guy?
I did.
Okay,
for sure. Like if we're being honest, I definitely did. And oftentimes I was like alone in my dancing, but not alone in that I felt alone. I was just the only one dancing.
Understood.
Whether I'm up on the tables or I'm up on the stage or I'm outside, I'm at sidebar, I'm at main bar, I'm at the beer bar, like wherever it was, I was always just moving my body because it just felt right and I loved it. And I will say, there did come a point where since I was kind of receiving notoriety for it, it did kind of like, start to like become part of my identity. And then I wanted to lean into that more. And, it was kind of like entertainment at times and people liked it and I fed off of that. So that definitely was a thing. And then people would dance with me. There are even some people, Nate Barrett, one of my Nathaniel Lee Barrett, who I met in my fraternity at University of Illinois, the most talented dancer I know. And he would dance with me quite often. He wouldn't go to that bar as often as I would, but whenever I was out with him, like he was always dancing, and he's inspired me so much. Such a big part of me feeling proud and confident and welcomed and invited to dance my truth through my body. He played a huge part in that. So like there were certain like sprinkles of people here and there that would get down, but no, largely like I was just kind of like that guy that was dancing. Yeah. And some people loved it, some people like didn't like it so much, and I just didn't care.
Got it.
And that's where I learned how to not really care. And then I started to care more as I came to Colorado and started being more intentional with my shuffling, and that's a whole nother thing where I like started to get more self-conscious again because I was getting more critical of myself and all that. But man, back at that bar, what a time. And I had to just mention that in this podcast.
No, but
it's so important.
And I think that and forgive me if I'm wrong, but like when you were growing up, you had this notion of like exiling the creative and the dancer in you, or just one and the same, definitely. And maybe that this is when like that inner child came out and you were able to like really come to grips and to terms with who you actually are. You know what I mean? What is that a fair statement to make? I think it is.
Thank you for putting it like that, because that is exactly what it was. Just thank you for like bringing that home right there. Like that, got into that space where I allowed my inner child to come out and blossom, that I've been exiling for so long in so many different ways. And it came out in sprinkles, through my childhood. Like I got into photography. I did go through a drawing phase, and I still do photography. Photography is one of my main practices. So that one did stick. That was like my first, I guess, creative outlet, but it wasn't like a full like inner child slingshot coming out party. That was college. That was when I really allowed my inner child to come through and dance the dance that it's always wanted to dance, and it was no longer exiled. And oh my God, I'm gonna get emotional just thinking about it. Like, the way thank you for mentioning that, because that's just the most perfect way to put it. Is it's my inner child that was just yearning to come out. And that was the environment where I could do it.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And I applaud all of your homies at that time too, because you said you were in a fraternity as well. And sometimes I feel like fraternities can be maybe perhaps hyper masculine and might squash like any like that kind of behavior where, because I mean some dances can be seen as feminine and
Of course.
and you can very much like poke fun at it. It sounds like you had an encouraging bunch, or perhaps they were even like indifferent to it, but at least they weren't like shooting it down and things like that. Is that also fair to say? What was the conception?
They were extremely encouraging. Their encouragement would even remind me that it was okay for me to be doing what I was doing. Like, I don't know if I would have been doing what I was doing if I wasn't receiving the praise and the encouragement. You know, if I'm being fully honest.
Yeah.
Like, I almost like rely upon that. It stems back to my childhood. Like, that's what fueled me in sports a lot, was like performing and being good and being recognized for being good, you know? So like, and I didn't really get that recognition in music and in other things. And perhaps that's why I exiled. And then when I got to college and I was starting to get recognized and encouraged through my dance, I started to do it. Ooh, like, wouldn't you know? Like, you know, it's like, so getting fueled by that validation. Like, I'm not proud to like say that that's fuel for me. But if I'm being honest, which that's what I'm getting on here to do, is to be honest and to be raw and authentic about how I came into this seat right here in the here and now, is like that was a huge part of it. And so shout out to my friends, my people out, not just the fraternity, but I mean the people of Red Lion, the people of University of Illinois. I mean, what a beautiful bubble that was. And just people were just so supportive and so loving. And you know, perhaps I also helped inspire them to be that way, because I did also just completely let go and not really, you know, I say I care what people thought, but like college was when I like stopped caring and I just like danced my dance. And by not caring, I then received the encouragement. And perhaps the encouragement helped me not care even more or care. But so it's like, you know, it
served you. It served you in many different ways, regardless of whether it was you felt. It doesn't seem like you like that. Perhaps validation encourages certain behaviors, but it served you in that capacity, and you're probably working. You're probably working on that, and you have a self-awareness about it,
right? And I think it's got to serve all of us to some degree. Yeah, like we all want to be seen, we all want to be understood, we all want to be recognized for our beauty, and for our grace, and for what makes us us. And I think that's okay.
I think it's okay to be honest. And I've talked about this a couple times on the podcast, but and in the beginning of our conversation, we had kind of put the shuffle community out as like an outlier of like, wow, like why are people so close in this community versus other dance communities? And I think other dance communities are very close. If you've ever seen breakers get together, they very much act like shufflers and how close we are together. Right. But I think that getting validation from one another, people who you know, like, and trust, and time again, when they see that you're expressing yourself the way that you want to in your own body, and then someone gives you validation for that, it's a data point in their head that says, I'm competent, I'm proficient, people like the way that I move. Right. And it creates like this sense of belonging. Yeah. Because people time and time again like give you those positive those positive vibrations, those positive data points, and it draws everyone closer together. And I just think that those are like the bonds that are always made, because like shufflers aren't shy to go up to one another and be like, you killed that, you know what I mean, like you crushed that, keep doing what you're doing, teach me that, like all those things. So I think that validation has a place, you know what I mean?
And it's feedback. Yes. And we all need feedback. I mean, we've been taught to receive feedback our whole life, like from being raised by parents or whoever you were raised by, and then school, your teachers, getting graded, trying out for a team, you either made it or you didn't. Like, you're always getting feedback and validation for the things you do. So I think that's just programmed in us. And on the topic of the shuffle community, like, you really the reason why people are so supportive, or one of the reasons why people are so supportive, is because I just don't sense that members of the shuffle community have that side of them where, they know they're really good and they want to like protect that by not praising others. You know, where you like, I don't know. I just sense
it's
this.
a zero, like almost like it's a zero-sum game or something like that. Like if I am building myself up and then I'm also, and that's a bad metaphor. I know what you're saying though. Like
kind of like in sports. Like I just remember in sports growing up, like, you know, like exchanging positive feedback or praise to like other players, especially someone on the other team. It's like you wouldn't do that because you're almost like relinquishing your pride by doing that, like because you want to be the best, and by, you know, giving someone else validation or praise for doing their best in some way, sometimes it feels like you're taking away from you, or you're like making yourself vulnerable to being overthrown by someone better. Basically, the shuffle community is like everyone is just about lifting each other up. It's not about being the best. It's not about like the levels to it, as like I'm better than you, I want to be better than you, you're this person's better than that. It's more so being the best you can be, and then with that helping others be the best that they can be. And it has nothing to do with competition. It's all about community. It's community over competition. And you don't see that in a lot of community, or like, you know, sports especially, because it's just like one team versus the other. There's always a winner and a loser. Like there's no winners and losers in this dance. I mean, sometimes if you're battling, I guess, or like dance competitions and things like that, sure, but overall, like you just don't sense that like overly competitive edge in the atmosphere, and it just creates this space where everyone feels inclined to encourage, and they're not.
I think that's 100% true. And the thing is, like, even in battle culture, it's a very small subset of shufflers who participate in battles and things like that. And then of those battlers, of the shufflers who, you know, are into that, I think from who I've spoken to in my own like anecdotes, they have a very healthy relationship even with battling and how they see competition. It's typically, like, for example, my friend Charles, he battles people not to one-up them, not to show who's better, to connect with them. Like, he has a list of people who he wants to battle because he looks up to them as shufflers, and he wants to have that moment. And he rarely does this at competitions. It's always at festivals and shows and just like those kind of environments where that connection can even be more intense. And I love that for him. My friend Allie as well, she battles herself when she goes in to the ring. She's not, it's neither here nor there who is across from her. It's always her. My friend Jesse, and I was telling you a little bit about this, his mindset in battling, he's also battling himself, and it's mental jujitsu for him when he enters the ring, because he doesn't think, I need to be a good dancer in this moment and I need to show everyone that. He thinks I just need to be me and I need to do what I need to do.
Beautiful.
And if you don't like how I'm being myself, you can look the other way. He was very blunt with like his mindset now, and things don't really deter him, or he's not influenced by other people's perception of him on when he steps into the ring. So
that's what I'm talking about right there. Like,
I say all that to say that even the competitive aspects of shuffling there's a healthy relationship with it. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to sit here and say that everyone has that. I'm just saying that, like, not everyone battles, but of the battlers who do battle, there isn't that like hyper competition that supersedes community. Is all I'm trying to say, which I think is special.
That's right on the money. That's essentially what I was trying to convey.
No, you conveyed it well. I just
Yeah.
ran with it for a while.
And it even expands, like, you know, not just comparatively with like competitive sports, but like even other dance communities, which I won't throw anyone under the bus or anything. But, you know, I've been in ciphers before in different environments that were not shuffle oriented, where I just did not feel the love when I had the courage to step in and dance my dance. Like, when people reserve that's what I'm like interested in, is like, what is it inside people that makes them reserve their praise? You know, it's because they're like, it's like a competition to them, and like they're like, you know, I don't know. It's just really interesting, and I just don't feel that in the shuffle community, is all I'm saying.
I'm trying,
and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, no, it is amazing, and I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who's reserving praise.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't happen a lot in a shuffle circle. The only circumstance that I can think of where I'd reserve, no, I don't think I would.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
I don't relate with it.
I was trying to think of like a situation where it's like someone jumped into a shuffle circle and maybe was just like piss drunk or something like that, and was being uncalibrated and maybe tearing down the vibe. I don't know. Yeah, like maybe that's an appropriate time to like not withhold praise, and if someone is just like not about their wits or whatever. But if someone's going in and is performing a very poor Running Man, I'm like, get it, like, let's go. You know what I mean? And then like if they feel they want to continue to learn, it's like, I'll be right there to teach them the Running Man. They won't learn it right there on the spot, but like we'll work on it and things of that nature.
It takes so much courage to get in that circle.
Yes.
Like, applaud that.
Yes.
Get in the circle. I don't care what move you do. You're in it. Like,
Shapes,
good for you.
Melbourne,
you know?
poorly performed shuffling, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, a house dancing, it can be whatever.
But it is interesting. Like, there was a point in my life where, like, you know, 13, 14, 15, whatever, would at times, you know, playing basketball mostly, so different atmosphere. But I would reserve, like, those compliments. 'Cause maybe it was, like, not masculine to, or tough to say, hey, good job, you're doing awesome. You know what I mean? It's almost like I was, like, programmed to reserve that, like, or whatever. But yeah. And like, on that note too, I mentioned basketball. Like, basketball is like, you know, if basketball was never in my life, I would not be shuffling. I can promise you that right now. If there's any basketball players listening to this right now, who happen to shuffle, first of all, hit me up. Let's play some basketball. But even cooler is, I love like combining basketball and shuffling. Like going to a basketball court, which is already a pretty good spot to like to glide and shuffle, right? Yeah. You know, you can play some hoops, play a game, whatever, and then, you know, go to the side and shuffle to the music you have on. I mean, you're already, you know, like basketball, which is like predominantly a hip hop culture. But if you want to like bring shuffling into a basketball atmosphere, then you're probably going to have shuffle music on. So you got your house music on, but you're playing basketball and you're already transcending cultural norms. And I love that. But taking it a step further, I don't know if anyone's ever thought about this, particularly basketball players who either A, shuffle, or B, have thought of shuffling or have seen shuffling and think it's cool and maybe want to try it, is basketball footwork translates to shuffling so fluidly. And I almost kind of want to get up right here and demonstrate, but we're kind of like in a tight, but like I can kind of do it when I'm sitting down. So like even soccer, right? Like soccer, did you play sports at all?
Yeah, wrestling and tennis and football.
Wrestling and okay. So yeah, I mean, football, even tennis, footwork, definitely. Wrestling, I don't know much about wrestling, but that's definitely a tactical game. But soccer, like, ton of footwork involved, but the ball you're playing with is hitting your foot. So your feet have to be like where the ball is. Yeah. Whereas when basketball, the ball is being controlled by your hand. So your feet can be doing anything. And you're just, you can dance with the ball almost. Like that's the culture of street ball. And like Allen Iverson and that, you know, like what he kind of brought into the culture in the early 2000s is just you know, dancing with the ball, and like Stephon Marbury and Steve Francis and these guys are just revolutionizing like basketball. They were incorporating this really like intricate like way of like being shifty with the ball, and that's all in your footwork. And something I noticed when I started shuffling is like, whenever I don't know what to do with my next move or I'm feeling kind of clunky, I then just pretend I have a basketball in my hand, and I'll be like doing a running man, I'm dribbling, and I'll go between the legs. And when I go between the legs with the ball, I kind of like, do a different move, and I come this side and behind the back. You can like incorporate like invisible basketball moves into your shuffling. At least I started doing that, and it really like helped me like develop, I guess, like my own taste and style. But yeah, I just want to throw that in there because like basketball and shuffling.
No, dude, 100%.
Like that's the way.
I think that you break through so many barriers when you can apply something that you're already competent at into your shuffling. You know what I mean? Take any concept that you're good at and you're proficient at, and throw it into your shuffling. You're going to approach your shuffling in a different way, and you're already doing something that you have that autonomic process about, and so it's not going to be taxing on your brain when you're adding it into shuffling.
Right.
You know what I mean? And my friend Allie, that was one of the first lessons that she gave me, was think back to a sport that you played and what can you add to your shuffling to make this work. With wrestling, even though there's not any crazy footwork, there are places where your feet need to be to perform certain moves.
Right.
And there's drop steps and ways to get into a shot. There's ways to pull on your opponent to get into a certain position, and you can always use that, because in wrestling, so your feet are typically free unless someone's shooting on you. Your hands can be free if you want them to. You can be as engaged or disengaged from your opponent as you can. So like you just work on different parts of your body throughout when you're training for wrestling. So I would do a lot of there's something called a duck under, when you duck under someone's like armpit and then you get into the other side and you bring them down.
Right.
So, but it's all about level changes and things like that. And it's like, I would have never even thought that I could put that into my arsenal unless Allie, mentioned that to me. And then this is going to be the same lesson for people viewing this right now. It's like, okay, what have I been good at for most of my life, or I've liked doing, or I've rehearsed to the point where I can do this automatically, and what can I put into my shuffling? And just one more thing on that, a lot of people have issues with arm flow in their shuffling. They have their hands out, they either T-Rex arms or they're stiff. And I think that's one way to really unlock your arm flow. It's because I see you doing it right here with your ball. You can absolutely be using some kind of imaginary prop to dictate what your arm flow is. You know what I mean? And it looks natural because you've been doing it all this time. You know what I mean? So it's a very cool paradigm to use while you're shuffling.
Yeah. Like whatever it is your thing is, it could be a lot of things, but yeah, sports really is it can be a little bit of a cheat code getting into the shuffle thing,
100%. 100%.
It was for me. I'm very grateful. Yeah.
I want to kind of get back to your origins. So when you moved here, you kind of established ground zero for your shuffle journey was Red Lion. Red Lion, right?
Yeah, Red Lion, baby.
Red Lion.
TRL. Yes. Thank you for remembering that. It was awesome.
What was the Red Lion for you here when you moved to Denver? What was that spark of inspiration that you were okay, I am tapped into this? Because I know also when you got here, you started to have these more critiques of yourself. Red Lion was you were just playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you got here, and it sounds like there was this sense of you were maybe getting a little bit harder on yourself because you wanted to progress, almost in the way that an athlete would progress in his craft, or being competitive with yourself. So how did your journey kind of unfold, or start and then kind of unfold when you got here?
So when I first moved out here, my work schedule was even worse than it is now, my first job. So Cool thing was, though, I had 3 days off a week, and it was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, roughly. And, obviously those Mondays and Tuesdays, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and those days, a lot of people are at work. There wasn't a lot of people to hang out with. So I was just largely doing my own thing, going to the mountains, just exploring Colorado on my own. And, one of my goals coming to Colorado was I really wanted to get, good at dancing, but I wanted to get good enough to where I would be proud of what I was watching when I would make a dance video. I wanted to start recording myself dance and start putting myself out there digitally through my dance, because I do feel like it's one of my most authentic forms of expression and one of the most effective ways for me to shine and share and spread my light as a human soul on this planet. So I would go to these different obscure, places, or just, in the mountains up in Boulder, or, at Red Rocks or wherever. I'll just go to these places by myself and have my phone and my speaker and my tripod, and I would, set up shop, and I would just start dancing. And that's probably where the criticism came in, because that's when I realized, oh shit, dude, you've been dancing for so long, but you're not good at this, bro. You're not good at this, and you want to be good, and you want to look good while you're doing it, but you're watching it.
How did you come to that conclusion? It was because of what you were seeing in your recordings, or was it other people that you're reviewing?
A combination. So
okay.
I would kind of compare myself with what I looked up to in others, because I wanted to be that. So this is all part of my journey of learning to be the best me I can be without trying to be somebody else. That was a journey. But at first, when I moved out here, it was very much trying to was just going to different places and dancing. And I wouldn't always record myself. I would just go to different places, ideally in private, so I could just dance. And I didn't really want anyone around seeing what I was doing, kind of afraid of bystanders thinking I was weird, or but I would say that what the Red Lion was for me out here was just the mountains. I would go to the mountains and I would dance, and I would hopefully catch myself on video doing something cool, but I never did. I still rarely do. And so
that's not true.
That was a big part of it. And then there was a catalyst. I went to Mile High Spirits one night. This was in April of 2021. So I was out here for 2 months, and I went out with my roommates, and had a couple drinks, and I just got really loose, and started dancing, and just had a ball. And this was during COVID too, so everyone's at their tables. You couldn't really go intervene with other tables, so everyone was predominantly sitting around, and I was just standing dancing all over the place. So probably looked ridiculous, but it was kind of taking me back to those roots of the Red Lion, where it's I don't care how I look, I'm just gonna let go and do what feels right in my body. And so I did that this one night at Mile High Spirits. And so honestly, that's got to be my answer. Is that was where I was just okay, you do this, you enjoy this, your roommates are loving it, so that helped too, right? That little validation, right? Well, if we're being honest. And so, and then beyond that, it wasn't until I discovered our beloved Cheeseman Park, which was Mile High Shufflers meetup, when I met you. So
that was your first. Was that your first time there?
First time at Cheeseman.
Wow.
Yes. I kept seeing it on Instagram. I kept seeing it in dance videos. I kept hearing about it, but I never got up and went until that day. And so obviously that's about it's 10 months after I first came to Colorado, but that was a new sort of echelon, a new breakthrough where I found that place. And that kind of became a home for transcendence and personal breakthroughs, and kind of served me in the way that the Red Lion served me, but in much different ways, because now Cheeseman serves me in a way that's it's this place that I can go to and just have a slick floor to just really get down. And I don't have to be with anyone. I don't have to be like out, like socially in a social environment. It's just like out here in this beautiful nature's environment with the mountain view and the perfect dance floor. And
and everyone's like living their best life at Cheeseman Park.
The amount of relationships I've formed there, of people that were just also hanging out there, and we just stumble into conversation with each other, and now we're in touch. I mean, the amount of people I've met there without the intention of meeting them there is just, it's insane. It's insane. So did I answer your question?
No,
I kind of forget what the question was now.
You absolutely did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was different times, different places at different times. So Mile High Spirits, and then my initiatives of trying to capture myself dancing on video in like different mountainous areas, and even in my, my front porch, my basement. I live in the same spot that I started at when I moved out here, and I dance there a lot, and it's been a great home for me to do that as well.
You had like multiple pieces of a ground zero for your origins of dancing here, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Colorado, we'll call it that.
Yep. Okay. I want to just backpedal just like a little bit.
Okay.
And I just want to ask you, like, who were your inspirations at this time that maybe you were drawing a comparison to and things like that, or that maybe you were trying to emulate during this time?
You?
Thank you.
Yeah, because whenever I was exposed to Mile High Shufflers on Instagram, like I would see, videos of certain members, such as you, Kaya, Jake, Karen, and Amy as well. Shout out to them, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
Coachella is just the most perfect setting for what just went down last weekend. It's been so.
They to spill the beans, they got engaged.
Yeah,
and we're very happy for them. You guys deserve it. You guys deserve the world. You guys are great people.
Incredible people, incredible teachers too.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot from them through their classes at Collaboratory Complex. But yeah, Jake for sure. And then. Goodness, I mean, that's like the handful of shufflers that like first struck me. See, the thing was, like, my dance journey, it was not just shuffling. Like, I honestly, like, my roots are hip hop, so like my natural sort of what naturally resonated with me initially with dance was like, different like jukin footworks, and like also just like your kind of like trendy, hitting the folk, or like the whoa, or the nay nay, or the whip, God forbid the whip, but like that's high school even, but like goodness, those were like kind of what got me into like dancing in a fun way. And so I would follow guys like Ao and Teo, Jackson. I think his last name is Jackson. His last name is Miles Jackson. On Instagram, it's J4CKSON Jackson. He's incredible. He's the inventor of the jaywalk. I don't know if you've seen that. Drame. He's an incredible dancer out of Memphis. The king of Memphis Jukin, as far as I'm concerned. R.I.P. Willie, his father. And yeah, I mean, just, Ao and Teo were really big for me. Teo, or Ao, is the dude who invented like the reverse, like the reverse nene, or just like reversing like any move, really. So I was like really into just like the trendy hip hop stuff before I was into shuffling, and then like was trying to emulate those guys. And then like as far as shuffling is concerned, like like what I can remember most vividly, like wanting to model after, was you, Kaya, and Jake. And then that list grew over time as I got more exposed to different people and different styles. But and
it looks like you've been integrating like your the past styles, or the styles that you like, like the hip hop styles, into your shuffling as well.
I have to. There's no way for me to not do it, because it's who I am. It's what's inside me. And
dude, that's an amazing tool to have, because there's during like the ambient parts of certain songs and things like that, where there's not a 4 on the floor and whatnot, like hip hop goes great. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
You can bring out some hip hop and really have that dictate your movement,
Right.
during those times. Because I think a lot of people who maybe, or shufflers who haven't had prior dance experience, or have even tried another kind of style, might struggle during those times of a song and maybe not have the most fun that they want,
Right.
that they want, because they're not equipped
Right.
with a type of dance style that would go well,
Right.
and accent that part of the song.
Right.
So, no, it's
And a little reference for Ayo and Teo. I don't know if you've heard the song, like, I just wanna roll it with a Dabba Ranch. You know that song? Or like the swing song, like know some young, like the swing. They're recording artists, but like super gifted dancers too. And then DJ Michi, this Michi guy. This is just different, like, people dancing on YouTube that really caught my attention early on. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that because I've said Ayo and Teo. Like, people may not know who that is, but they're recognizable. They got recognizable voices, and
we'll throw some songs in the show
Yeah,
notes. Refer to that one. And, we'll spin people up for sure.
Yeah.
But dude, it sounds like this was perhaps a turbulent time in your shuffle journey, kind of like trying to find who you want to emulate, not being 100% okay with where you are, like in your progression and things like that. What kind of like trials and tribulations did you go through? Was there ever a point in time where you felt like you wanted to quit, or you were just having mental blocks that warranted like a breakthrough? And if you did have any breakthroughs, like what they look like? That's a lot of
during
questions.
this turbulent time. Yeah, of course. Like back in college, there were no trials because I wasn't trying to do anything.
Yes.
And then once I came out here and was actually trying to like get better and become a dancer per se, a shuffler per se, put the ER at the end, not just someone who dances or someone who shuffles, but I'm a shuffler. It's what I do. Goodness, yeah. Trials of just getting up and doing it sometimes. It took a while for me to transition into that phase of getting really intentional about my shuffling. And in that sort of like in between period of like not going from not caring to caring, I got stuck in between that a little bit, where it was like, I care and I want to get good, but for 5 years I've just been writing off of just like kind of just doing it naturally and not being good, but I'm having fun. And it's like, so what's the point of even getting better? Like, why do I want to get better? Is it so I can show off and look cool? Or is it like, do I want to feel better in my body? And like, that's really what it was to feel more whole and feel more fluid in my flow. And it's cool to, be recognized and seen for that as well. But it was really just a meditation practice I was building in my life, a mindfulness practice, a practice of becoming more and more present. And I would find myself knowing I needed that. My heart knew I needed to get up and dance, but my mind would be like, nah, you're comfy here.
Not today.
Like, I'm too high, I'm just, and here I was at that point, like, I was probably like smoking weed to like get inspiration to get up and dance. And then I would just like not dance. I would like think myself out of it and be like, oh, I don't have to do that. And so that was a big part of it, was just like, I got comfortable. I got really comfortable with what I was doing for so long in college, but I knew deep, deep, deep down that like I had potential and I didn't want to waste that potential. And so it was time to really hit the ground running with developing and learning new moves and also integrating in the community and stuff. But like just the getting myself to just show up and do that day by day was the biggest challenge for me. I'm finally past that, because I'm past the imposter syndrome of being a dancer. I'm finally there now, where I'm like, I own it and I recognize it as like an integral part of my life and who I am. And so but it took a long time to get there. And like even showing up to that first Mile High Shufflers event, like I said, the intimidation and all the excuses that I brought up in my head as to why to not go, like, oh, I can go to the next one. And, but I had to listen to that yearning inside of me. Follow the uncomfortability. you know, rather than just chilling in the comfortability. I had to follow that uncomfortable feeling because I knew that uncomfortability was what was going to guide me into the, you know, guide me into where I was meant to go and guide me into flourishing. You know, like the comfort zone, there's the comfort zone and then there's the growth zone.
Yeah.
Like the growth zone is more uncomfy than the comfort zone, obviously.
And then there's the incompetence zone where it's like you're not even
Yeah,
there. But
yeah.
you can only expand that bubble out into the incompetence zone
Yeah.
if you're entering the growth zone.
Yeah.
It's like,
so did I ever think of quitting? Like, I mean, how could I ever think of quitting if I wasn't even doing it? You know, I'm just like sitting here not doing it. It's like there was really nothing to quit. You know, like I knew I was on my way to something.
Yeah.
And like I had never taken the dancing seriously at all, like, you know, since I started dancing at like 19, 20. And so like the journey of taking it more seriously, like there was really nothing to really quit because I did definitely like hold myself back at many points. Beautiful days where like, you know, looking back, I know my soul would have just loved me so much, loved my body so much if I would have just allowed it to go out and dance, but I wouldn't, you know, and that's okay. You know, but that was really it. And like I said, that first Mile High Shufflers meetup, like, you know, took courage to do that. And then, you know, I do think I kind of broke free of the doubts of like dancing or like considering like not dancing or potentially quitting or whatever. When I went to that meetup and I saw all these people having such a ball and having fun and different skill sets too. Like some people just extremely advanced, some people clearly beginners, and none of it mattered.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like this is all fine. I am where I'm at. I accept where I'm at, and I'm going to go where I'm going to go. And I don't know where that's going to be, but I owe it to myself to find out. And that's what really pushed me to like reach out to you for a class, because I was like, I need to take a dance class, you know, and start, you know, up in the ante on my intentionality of dancing. So yeah, definitely there was a lot of like internal resistance at various points that I definitely know like hindered my, like for as long as I've been shuffling, I should be way better now than I am. That's another thing that I've had to really overcome in my like self-criticism is I see see people that go ahead.
The opportunity cost in which when you were like indecisive or something like that.
Absolutely.
And like how things might have turned out if you weren't the way that you were thinking about whatever in the past.
Absolutely. And seeing people knowing like where they started and then seeing how rapidly they developed and how good they got in such a short period of time. And I'm like, well, I didn't do that. And it's like, oh, so maybe I shouldn't do it at all. Like, maybe I should just, you know, maybe I'm no good. Maybe I'll never get there, you know?
But dude, like I think you can either look back at that time as like the opportunity cost of becoming a better shuffler was, you know, the way that you were thinking or the way that you were deciding whether you wanted to dance or whatnot didn't serve you at that time. But like you can learn, like you've learned from that too. You know what I mean? You can look back at those times where it's like, okay, I know when I think these thoughts and I opt out of shuffling or dancing or doing these things, that it does not serve me in the future. And it's like, if you have that, you're bringing it up right now and you're describing it in depth. So it's like you've thought about it and you've like synthesized this and now it's a part of you. So it's like now when those thoughts enter into the chat, you can dismiss them as quickly as they've come. You know what I mean? So it's like, I wouldn't say that was a bad part of your journey. Right. I say that's an instructional part of your journey.
A necessary part.
Yeah, necessary. Yeah, it's
because
it's paying dividends now, because like I've seen your progression, dude, and it's like in the past year, I remember seeing one video of you juking. Am I saying that right? Juking? Juking?
Jukin. I usually leave off the G. It's
Okay.
juking, but I just jukin.
Yeah, incorporating that into your shuffling, and I was like, this man is like gliding on ice right now. You know, it's like where did that come from? Because when we did our lesson and things like that, we were just going over like very basic shapes and things like that, like Polly Pockets and whatnot. I'm like, where did these glides come from? Where did this integration into, you know, running man and then T-step and then hitting a glide from there? And it's like, so I knew like there was an inflection point for you that you blasted off, and it was probably from those lessons that you learned from an earlier portion of your shuffle journey that you were able to then implement this kind of training regimen or just behavior that helps you progress in the way that you're progressing.
Absolutely.
So like I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about that or anything like that. I think it was an instructional time for you is all I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for those words. I appreciate it a lot. And yeah, you're totally right. Like definitely in the last year have learned more about like what my flavor is.
Developing your style.
Yeah. I mean, a lot, you know, so I took that class with, you know, I met you First Mile High Shufflers meetup, you know, January or February of 2022. We did a lesson in March, toward the end of March. And then I went to Coachella in April. And Coachella was a big breakthrough moment for me. And I remember telling you, I remember texting you after our class saying like, yeah, I can't wait to like whip out some of these new approaches and new styles and moves at Coachella, which isn't even like an EDM fest. I mean, there is plenty of EDM, but like, you know, not strictly. But yeah, I went there and man, that place is where I unlocked something there. And, you know, it was probably a combination of things, the environment, you know, what I had just learned from you and from my peers recently about dancing and shuffling, and maybe it was the acid a little bit, but I mean, I can assure you it was. It certainly served me on this journey at Coachella. But really, I just found I unlocked this openness where I was able to I almost like stepped into my feminine, like where I was able to really flow and I felt so free. Yeah. And like freedom, right? Like what is freedom? Like I really think shuffling is about freedom. Like dance is about freedom. And it's not like you're free from like oppression or something, which I mean, maybe, you know, but it's really about freedom from your mind where you can unlock this higher state of being one with your body and the functioning of it, and your mind quiets and your body just you allow your body to flow, and I just really unlocked that fluidity at Coachella, and that's what inspired me eventually by the end of the weekend to have my friend record me do a little shuffle step. It was actually a Jake Karen choreography. I should mention this, actually. This was another Cheeseman Park experience of March of last year where he actually hosted a free choreography class. You were there.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah.
You were there.
Like Austin and John there. And you were there.
Yeah.
Who else?
We all wore black.
Yeah, we all wore black.
Yeah.
Yep. That was sick.
Dude, that changed my life. Like that changed my life. And I took that choreography and I threw it down at Coachella with, you know, just really just awkward arm placements and stuff, you know, and the music was too fast, but I did it and I got it on video and I put it on my Instagram, and it was like my humble beginning of like, you know, that after all this time, like wanting to be able to like post videos of me dancing, it's like, that was the one. And I did it, and I unlocked the courage and the flow and the fluidity and the femininity that allowed me to do that. I unlocked that at Coachella. And that was just really, really special. And then after that, in the month of May is when I met who is now one of my absolute dearest friends, and business partner, Adrian Ashdown, who is the founder of Vibrate Your Best Energy, that we co-founded together. I mean, she conceived the idea, she founded it, and then I jumped on the team pretty soon after that. I guess quick synopsis, Vibrate Your Best Energy is an event company. We throw creative events that are really about facilitating play. It's a community similar to Mile High Shufflers. It's not designated to shuffling, though. It's more about play and creativity as a whole.
But shuffling falls into that
shuffling
category.
falls right into that so beautifully. And I remember, the very first Vibe event, where I let out some shuffles that night. And this was, I remember specifically telling Adrian, because she was looking for vibe dancers, because we also have a dance team that, we get hired to dance at venues and for artists and to like to complement, DJs and their sets and stuff.
The performance.
Yeah. It's performance, but it's a little more about engagement, crowd engagement and stuff like that. Kind of like go-go dancing, but not go-go dancing. We're like, it's freestyle dancing. We're just freestyle dancing. But she was looking for dancers. And then she asked me, that night, and this is the day we met. We met at Cheeseman. She gave me a flyer for the event. It was that night. I'm like, I'm there. And I went, and it absolutely changed my life. So, yeah, I went to the I met Adrian that day, went to the Vibe event that night, and I let out some shuffles. And like I said, she was looking for some dancers for the Vibe dance team, and she asked me to be a Vibe dancer. I was like, whoa, what? Like, you want me to perform and this and that? I was like, I'm not even a dancer. And she's like, what? Like, what, Scotty? What, Scotty? And I hadn't received the name Shambo yet at that time. So, I love the name Scotty. I'll always be Scotty. She's like, what, Scotty? Like, what? You are a dancer. You're a dancer. And I was just thinking about it. I was like,
she might be right.
Is this what I needed to hear? Is this what my whole life led up to? Is this moment of like self-doubt and questioning? And now she's telling me that, like, you got this, bro. And so that changed my whole life and my perspective and really instilled so much confidence in me. And I just owe Adrian so much for that and love her so dearly. And I know she's listening to this. I love you so much, Adrian. And I love Vibe so much. This community that we're building is so beautiful and organic and diverse. And Vibe has been a big part of my dance journey as well. And just wanted to throw that in there.
Can I just interject?
Yeah.
Shame on me for not attending any of those events thus far. I know you guys do the Park and Play.
Yeah, the Park and Play.
Yeah,
it's a new series. So we started doing that like 2 months ago. Like, it's a pretty fresh thing. Okay. But it's been good.
For the audience, because I do want to draw attention to what you guys are doing, because I think it's amazing. Can you just describe what like a Park and Play is, or any of the other events that you guys do? Just kind of like, maybe promote this collective that you guys have formed.
Yeah, so Park and Play is a community meetup that we host at Cheeseman Park, hosted by Vibrate Your Best Energy, VYBE, Vibe. And we have settled upon this spot kind of in the center of the park, west of the pavilion, in between the trees, and there's a couple picnic tables there. You might know what I'm referring to. Yep. And we have our boy Jose, who's a part of our team now. Absolutely love that man, and he's an incredible DJ. And we connected with him like 3 months ago, and talked about the idea of setting up shop in the middle of Cheeseman to host a meetup. But the resources he has is generator, speakers, and so
the infrastructure for the good vibes.
Exactly. And so we partnered with him to facilitate our first Park and Play back in March, and we just had so much fun. And we had Chris Ayers on that day as well, and several other DJs. And ever since then, DJs have been super, excited about it, enthusiastic, have been reaching out to us, wanting to come on and play. Or DJs that come to it's very common for people to come to the events. They're DJs, they see, what we're putting on, and so they express interest in DJing, and we will oftentimes, after doing our own vetting, we'll let them perform a set. And so now what Park and Play has turned into is basically like a 4-hour window of time in the center of Cheeseman, with a lineup of about 5 DJs usually that perform for roughly 45 minutes. And really a way to look at these things are like these events is like it's a mini music festival. Even the grass feels like festival grass. It's a mini music festival. We invite
like flow artists.
Yeah.
There's people who are just vibing out on blankets and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the whole idea is facilitating play. So whatever play, whatever your form of playing is, and whatever capacity you like to play, whether it be flow art, whether it be dance, whether it be drawing, whether it be throwing
around,
frisbee, football, we encourage everyone to bring that, and we also provide some of that as well.
Got it.
We always have a collaborative art piece that everyone can contribute to if they want to. We always have canvases for people to make their own creations. But there really is no rules or expectations. You can't just come there and just sit and on your park tarp or whatever, and like picnic or just hang out. And it's free, obviously, and it's just an incredible vibe. And we're really trying to get more and more intentional about it in our facilitation and bringing in new ideas and new themes for the events, different things to help guide conversations and just make it all more intentional and help us deepen the experience, deepen the relationships that are being cultivated, deepening the conversations. And the goal, we're really just out here trying to throw music festivals. I mean, the long-term plan is to throw a full-scale music festival. So this is like where we're starting. And we're at the park and we're playing. And you got your DJs, and we're dancing, and we're having a great old time. It's lovely, and I encourage anyone and everyone to come as you are. You don't have to be a dancer, you don't have to be a musician or a DJ, or you don't have to be in anything. You just have to be a human that can get to the park somehow, and that's all you got to be. And it's just amazing, the relationships I've gained from these events, and also just like the breakthroughs in my creativity and in my dancing. It's just like the Mile High Shuffler meetups where you pull up, you're around a community of creatives who are there to support each other and to dance and to play and to have fun. And we're really just out here creating this collective frequency amongst us all. It's really a unified body of one. It's a community, and that's what drives it. Just like Mile High Shufflers, it's a beautiful thing. We've even talked about, at some point, like perhaps we could collaborate in the future with Mile High Shufflers, but obviously don't feel entitled to that or expect that to any capacity. But I do feel like there are similar values, and perhaps somewhere along in the future, it could come to fruition. But that's vibe, and we throw these park and plays every single Sunday. So it's a great thing to whatever you did throughout the weekend, whether you did nothing or you partied or there was a big Red Rock show Saturday night, and everyone's kind of recovering on Sunday. There's nothing better than getting into the sunshine, getting out into the park, laying out in the sun, dancing to some music. It's mostly been house music lately, house DJs, but some drum and bass. Denver Doses, he came on this past Sunday, and he actually started with bass music, which I was really refreshed to hear. We had Aaron Stereo on 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
It was a shame I couldn't be there. I was at Coachella, boo-hoo. But again, I went to Coachella again. Woohoo, it was awesome. But
Kaya was there too.
Kaya was there. Kaya opened
played.
for us. Kaya opened for us, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So I'm very excited about it, and just very grateful for everyone that takes part in it. Patty, come through sometime. Absolutely.
I've intended to. I'm sorry that I have not.
Oh, don't be.
And with me so close to Cheeseman, it's
man, get out there.
Yeah, you're right.
We should be recording this out here or out there.
That would be cool.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
A lot of wind, probably. You'd have
internet too.
Internet.
I need to fix my
hotspot.
Yeah. But no, man, what you guys are doing, I think, is great.
Thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, no. And I want you to share that because, there is, I think you guys are a catch-all. You know what I mean? With Mile High Shufflers are in the name, it says Shufflers.
Right.
So by virtue, that might paint the picture as though you can't come unless you shuffle, which is very far from the truth.
Right.
As you may know, very far from the truth. But perception is reality, right? And so with this, I think this collective is come as you are. Come. It's broad. It's very much broad. it's play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do you play?
Right.
It looks different for everyone. So casting that wide net is going to bring together so many different people, so many different identities, archetypes, personalities, whoever else. And a part of that are shufflers. Like I've seen shufflers there.
Right.
And it's very
It's a
cool.
big part of it.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Well, people get
It's just
ramped up when they see shuffling.
Yeah.
It's fun. You know, it's
Yeah.
a fun way to express yourself, especially if you guys are throwing down house. Like,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And you were saying, you know, you guys are constantly evolving, constantly trying to form, you know, deeper relationships with one another, things like that. And I just want to commend you and your team around this.
Yeah.
Because I think consistency is the number one way to do that. Like creating a time and a place, little organization goes a long way. A time and a place for this to happen every single week. People get behind routine, you know what I mean? And if you've created this space for them and they're constantly coming, that's the consistency is like what is deepening that, you know what I mean? And then obviously you guys are, you know, behind the scenes trying to figure out how to evolve and do better and grow to that music festival and things like that. But just the fact that you guys are so consistent with it every single Sunday, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's something that people can hang their hat on. Yeah. And they know it's going to happen, whether they're recovering from a Red Rock show, whether that's the party for them this weekend, you know, they know that it will be happening and that they can rely on that inflow of just sociability, you know what I mean? Like maybe they didn't get it through the week, or they didn't have the best like social experience throughout the week, and then but they know that they can go there and have this enriching environment for that. So
you're so right.
Just the fact that you guys are doing that and being consistent with it.
The consistency is huge. And I tip my hat to Jose. Downhill Dose is his DJ name, as well as Diego, who's also now on our team. His DJ name is Ego, like the waffle. Yeah. It's so fucking hard. He's awesome. He plays like this future rave music. So we do throw down out there for sure. But yeah, like I give it up to them because even myself was like, whoa, we're gonna do this every Sunday. Like that's a lot of work. But they're the ones with like the equipment and the initial drive to like DJ at the park, and so they were like fueling Adrian and I to like do. You know, Adrian and I had, you know, visions of doing these outdoor events when the weather got good. But we wouldn't have been able to do it at the rate we're doing it without those two guys, Jose and Diego. But yeah, so shout out Ego and Downhill Dose, DH Dose. They're incredible. They're actually, I don't want to botch it. I know they're playing sometime soon.
They're playing at Spirits. Yeah. Mile High Spirits.
Oh yeah, May 4th.
Yeah. Which this episode won't come out.
Yeah,
so
it won't even be out.
But like, but they're I know DH Dose. Like he is constantly at Laramie Lounge, like Spirits, like he's playing at Steam and things like that. Great local Denver DJ.
There, man.
Yeah,
like, he does this shit for a living.
Yep.
Like he's serious about it, and he's just an incredible soul. A huge part of Vibe. So come meet Jose. Like everyone deserves to meet Jose.
We're getting thunder. This is crazy.
It's coming closer.
Yeah.
I guess it comes from the west.
Hopefully it doesn't get us.
But all right, yeah.
Amazing, man.
So where we're at?
We are. So I think we are at like our time of maybe departing, but I have a bunch of questions for you still.
Sure.
So we're gonna move on to the world famous Final Five.
Oh baby.
So these are the 5 questions that I ask every shuffler that I have on the podcast, and it'll just help us get that last glimpse of really who they are, and we can learn a little bit more about them as we say our farewells.
I love it.
But these, like I said, I asked everyone these, so we can also see how they stack up, you know, against each other and whatnot. Not in like a competitive way, but just like all the personalities that are on here. It's so cool to listen to. But so for the first question that I have for you was, what is your favorite musical genre?
I gotta go with hip hop. And it's hard to even define hip hop. I'll take it a step further and say rap music, but it's not necessarily all for like the lyrical content. I just love like hip hop production, I'm wearing my Kendrick Lamar Big Steppers hat here. I'm a huge fan of Kendrick and PG Lang in general. So Baby Keem, his little cousin. Big Kanye fan. You know, I don't know if that's okay these days, but he's been a huge part of, you know, my life journey. And just, yeah, that's my roots. Rap music is my roots. And it's what eventually led me to be in the position I was in college to then discover electronic music. And I went through so many phases where that was my favorite, where dubstep was my favorite, hard, like rhythm music, and then like big room house, like Martin Garrix, Calvin Harris, and then like more like deep house, like Malo and Chris Lake. And I went through all these phases where, like, if you asked me what my favorite music was, I would say different things. But if I'm being fully honest, my soul, it's the rhythm and culture of hip hop is what resonates most deeply with me. So, yeah.
And you think that'll be sustained kind of like throughout your life?
We'll see. You know, we'll see. We'll have to see. But yeah, I will say, when I went to my first show, I guess, ever, but it was Big Gigantic, or Space Jesus, actually. Which is like just weird alien bass music, you know, and that was that really opened me up, really like opened my chakras, if you will, like to attune them to receive music in a new, like, heightened way, like hearing like the low ends and the bass coming from like the electronic music helped me then later on to appreciate the bass and rhythms of hip hop more. So it's like it all intersects, but in the end, it all kind of comes. I find myself listening to hip hop the most, and even like R&B, like Frank Ocean, huge Frank Ocean fan, and he raps too, like Tyler the Creator. You know, they'll do different things, like, and even the guys like Playboi Carti. And then, you know, the funny thing with Playboi Carti is, like, I don't subscribe to really any of the things Playboi Carti's saying. You know what I mean? But I just love how he floats on the beats and the griminess, the dirtiness of the beats, but also the jangles and the high ends that just bring it all together. It's beautiful. It's so fun to dance to, and it really gets me going. So yeah, there's my answer.
Other musical genres have shined light on the different aspects of hip hop that might not have been completely apparent
100%.
from the beginning.
100%.
That's cool that other genres gave you a greater appreciation for your life.
Helped me look at rap music as more than just like rapping vocals, but it helped me to be able to dissect and understand the production aspects more. Like the production of electronic music really opened me up to understanding the production of hip hop music. So yeah. Because like EDM really blew my mind, because it's like there's a lot of times there's no vocals. You know, that's what rap is rhythm and poetry. You're rapping over a beat, but if you take away the vocals and you just have a beat, then like what are you listening to? And it's like, so that really opened me up. But you brought it home perfectly there. So we can move on to the next. I'm sorry, I get, you know,
no, you're good.
I close my eyes and I just get lost in my my space. And,
I will stay on it as long as I'm curious about like what the hell's going on in your brain.
Right here, it's trying to come more to my heart. You know, my brain's helping.
I want to commend you throughout the interview. You have been closing your eyes and really thinking about like what you want to articulate, and it's good because I'm watching you, because I'm like an eye contact guy. I don't think anything of it, but like when I see you like really thinking about and being intentional about your responses, like I feel that. You know what I mean? I feel like that you're really trying. You're not just throwing something out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just kudos to you in that regard.
All right. Thank you.
But next question for you: what is your favorite place to dance?
Cheeseman Park Pavilion. Just because I don't have instantaneous access to the Red Lion anymore.
Got it.
Vibe events, you know, it doesn't have to be the pavilion. It can be at Cheeseman, but yeah, vibe events is where I really am able to let down and let go and let the dance come through. But yeah, that pavilion, man, there's just something special about that pavilion. The floor is it's just so good. So good.
I will never let that answer be a cliche, because
Right,
it like there is something about it. You know what
I mean,
I mean?
I'm going there like when we get
Exactly.
done. Like
Yeah,
I'm literally
yeah.
going there like right now when we're done.
Yep, exactly.
Today's a day for dance. It's a day to talk about dance and then go dance and then.
Be careful with that lightning and thunder and
Yeah,
stuff. coming out.
dude. Wait, you're so right. All right. I'll evaluate when I get outside.
It might not even be raining, but
Who knows? Yeah, you're right though. You're
it's
right.
Denver, dude.
You're right. Weather permitting, I'm going to Cheeseman today.
Got it. Roger that. Roger that. I think a lot of us share the same sentiment. So, next question. What is your favorite set, show, or festival attended?
Set, show, or festival.
Yeah.
So
it's an and or
So
question.
the festival could be a bunch of shows, and then
This is
maybe there's
true.
one show. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Bonnaroo, but I've only been one time. I'm going again this year. There's something really special about Bonnaroo that I still feel like is untapped that I'm gonna dig in a little even deeper this year. And Kendrick Lamar's headlining. Baby Keem's going to be on right before him, and they're going to be doing their collaboration, and I'm going to be so there for it. And then on that note, favorite show, Baby Keem at Coachella 2022, and then this year at Coachella 2023, Calvin Harris Saturday night. That was my first exposure to like that type of like ultra type set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was he throwing down?
Just all the classics.
Okay.
And then like, some in-betweeners too, but it was all like really high energy. Like
big
it was a
room, like
rave.
a lot of big room?
Oh, it was a rave.
Oh, okay.
It was big room. Well, is that what big room is?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Martin
yeah.
Garrix is like big room, or like
It's Calvin Harris. I think he kind of jumps around.
Yeah.
Like his EDC to that 2022 set was not a lot of big room. He was getting like a little gritty like with it, and like kind of throwing down like not techno vibes, but no, maybe maybe a little bit like harder and grittier stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't as synthy
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not.
I would be sinning too if I didn't mention Flume. Flume is my sound god. The Flume sound is everything to me. Flume is my favorite electronic artist of all time. That will never change. And I've seen Flume several times, and the first time I saw him was Lollapalooza 2019, and that changed my life as well. So I know I just mentioned a few, but like we'll keep it there. Flume at Lolla, Baby Keem at Coachella, Calvin Harris at Coachella, and then Bonnaroo is like that's the festival that I just resonates most deeply with my soul. Coachella is amazing too. Coachella gets a bad rap. I encourage you all listening to this to drop the stigmas and stereotypes about Coachella and maybe give it a try someday, because I've been there twice now, weekend 1 and weekend 2, and both times the crowd, the people, the vibes are just amazing. I mean, everyone is so wholesome and inclusive, and it's not just a bunch of influencers walking around on their vlogs. Like, yeah, you see some of that, but it's not saturated with that.
Okay.
A lot of people think that. I thought that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the impression that I'm getting. I've never been.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
people
But
get that impression. It's just not like, I don't know.
No, thank you for mentioning
Yeah,
that.
hell
'Cause,
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Hell yeah.
because if that's all that we're hearing, that's kind of what we need to. That's what we need to envision,
Right.
or we are envisioning,
Right.
And so that helps to have a voice suspending those judgments. you know
Beautiful.
what I mean?
Glad I could offer that.
Yeah. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've heard of The Power of Now, but he wrote that book as well. But A New Earth is, it's really just a gateway to a spiritual awakening. And I don't say that as like, I'm enlightened, or like you read this book and you become enlightened. It's more so just about like shedding light on the role that our ego plays in our day-to-day lives and our moment-to-moment doings and interactions and thought processes and decision making, and just breaks down human tendencies to it, to just really dissects them and helps you understand like why humans are the way we are, and then how to overcome the neuroses that many of us carry around in these human vessels, and how to navigate life from a more soulful point of view as opposed to an egoic point of view. I actually have the book in my bag. I carry it with me a lot because I like to just open it and read. It's the way it's split up is really like digestible, and I just feel like you don't even have to be a spiritual person or anything. You don't have to be anything to like open that book and like retract so much value and knowledge and insight into the human psyche, into the human spirit, and like just how to optimize your joy and your happiness and most of all your presence on earth, like your presence in every waking moment. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Check it out.
A New Earth. And is that kind of written the same way as The Power of Now, where it's like you need to read it in like, or it's prescribed to be read in increments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I personally have not read The Power of Now, but people have been on the podcast and have described it. And it's like, it's not something that you sit down and read from cover to back. You know what I mean? It's something that you pick up and put down and you implement different exercises and different objectives for yourself. Is that a?
It's.
Am I right?
Yeah, you're kind of on the right. I mean, it's been a while since I've read The Power of Now. Like, trying to refresh myself on like the structure of that book and how it flows. I mean, I do think you could read A New Earth like cover to cover in a day and like you wouldn't have like missed anything.
Yeah.
But the way it is split up almost makes it seem like it is meant to be read incrementally. And I also think that that's just like the only way you're really going to be able to digest it. Like you got to take some time. Like you read a chapter and you got to like kind of
drops a bomb in you for a second.
Yeah, because it just makes you look so deep inside yourself and recognize your tendencies and like your shadow self. It's incredible. I love it. I love it so much, and I recommend it.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you, and that is, if you could put any messaging on the main stage production of a large festival, think EDC Las Vegas, Tomorrowland, what would it say? There's going to be tens of thousands of people viewing it.
I would put up there, I want to say two different things, but I thought that I'd put up there the power of love is in the here and now, always and everywhere. Now that's a really important part, the always and everywhere, because when you are at a festival, that is the easiest place to be present. The absolute easiest place to be present, right? So I want to put something up there where people that are in that state of presence, in that crowd, taking in the show, they read, the power of love is in the here and now, always and everywhere, which means not just here. You're having all these awakenings and epiphanies in this festival environment, and you're taking in the sonic vibrations, and it's so divine and so whole and so beautiful, and it's it teaches you the beauty of presence, because you have to really be there for it. You have to be present to really receive it fully. But that same idea applies to absolutely every single waking moment of life. Doing your laundry, going to the bathroom, you're bored at work, you are just like you're late to something, or just any
the most mundane,
big or small scenario in life. A lot of us, myself especially, I feel like I've missed out on the potency and the richness of these moments. Those mundane moments that you're really, because a lot of times you go to a music festival or a concert as a means to like escape. You're like taking a break from life. You're taking a break from your day-to-day job. You're taking a break from whatever you're leaving behind at home. And then after the festival, you got to go back to it. And that's where integration comes in, right? You go to a festival, you have a psychedelic experience, whatever it is. You have to integrate that into your day-to-day life. And to do that most effectively, you have to be present in the moment-to-moment fruition of your day-to-day life. And so I want to really capture people in that festival mindset of being present and being full of love, and telling them the power of love is in the here and now. You're feeling the power of love because you are here and now, and you're present. And always and everywhere. So that means at all times and everywhere you are, not just here at Coachella, not just here at EDC, not just here at Tomorrowland, but like when you're in the trenches, you know, when your back's up against the wall, like feel the richness, the feelings of the pain. Like a friend dies, you lose somebody, you know what I mean? And the emotions that come up when that happens, it's like, don't try to drink those emotions away or run away to a festival to not feel them. Feel feel it all. And there's a place beyond the pain that is actually like clarity and beauty. You know, there's so much beauty to suffering. Like suffering is grace. That's what the Buddha says. And so I just think that's just be the best thing I could offer someone. The power of love is in the here and now, always and forever, everywhere you are, every conversation, even, you know, when you wake up in the morning, when you're about to go to bed, when you're eating lunch, like cooking, I don't know, I can't think of the mundane scenarios. It's hard.
No, I think
when you're walking to your car,
yeah.
Like when we get so caught up in our heads of like, how am I going to approach this conversation? How am I going to show up to work today? What am I going to do? What's my plan? And we're all in our head. And it's like, we just kind of drop into our body and into our heart and be like, wow, I'm alive right now. And like, I just get to feel this. Like I get to experience this because this body's fleeting. Like we're not going to be in this forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, be here with it. Whether you're at a festival or you're in jail or whatever the fuck it is, like, you know. So that's my answer. And I'm gonna stand by that. So.
Holy shit, man. That was awesome. Thank you for describing that. I got goosebumps like I counted 3 times. Because it's absolutely true. And like even in my most emotional moments where maybe I ought to not cry or something like that, or it'd show, you know, weakness or whatever, I think that's a good reminder. And I've heard this message before. You've put it in a way that really resonates with me. But I have a mentor. His name's Jim Rohn. He died way before I was born. But I listened to a lot of his like talks and seminars and things like that were captured. And he basically said what you were saying in his own way. And he's like, when I'm watching a movie, like take me high, take me low, like let me experience everything. I want to like basically experience this life with whatever it's throwing at me. I don't want to hide from any of it. And the way that you put it was both of those messages resonate with me. So I think about that when I have these emotional experiences and I just want to cry, or I just want to lean into my emotions. And then there's a piece of it that it gives me resistance, and I'm just like, suspend that, like get it out of the way. Like let's step into this human experience. You know what I mean? Like there's no use of like trying to fight it.
Right.
So I embrace friends even more. I tell them that I love them. I tell my parents that I love them. All that shit. And yeah.
Fucking love you, man.
I love you too, man. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for receiving it and hearing me and seeing me and creating this platform for not just myself, but for all of us to come here and let go like that. You know, it's very, very special. I'm very thankful. And yeah, everything you said there, it's so true. Like,
it was a little bit of a ramble, but like
it's so true.
You gave me an emotional response there, and
so you got to feel it. Don't resist it.
Yeah, it means something to me, and absolutely. I'm collecting myself right now because I still got a job to do. But that meant a lot to me, and it was beautifully said, and I cannot wait to share this. You know what I mean? Share this with a greater audience, because like if it resonated with me, it's gonna resonate with so many others. So Before we get out of here, man, that was my last question for you. But I guess I have, two more.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you didn't share that, maybe we should have brought up or spoken about? Or, is there anything else that you want to impart on the listeners before we get out of here?
Do that. Do that. I've been doing that at vibe events. I actually learned it from Jake Karen. 3 magical sighs, where you take a nice deep diaphragmatic breath through your nose, and then when you exhale, you make a you make a noise. And then you do that 3 times, and by the 3rd time, you're just you're there, you're in yourself, you're ready to take on anything. Whatever you were stressing about 30 seconds ago is just put into perspective. That's how I've been closing out every vibe event. We circle up, we do we call it the gratitude circle, and we have everyone that showed up to the event that day, whether newcomers, people that just stumbled by that day, or they came because they planned to come. We have everyone get in the center, hold hands, and we say a few words and make everyone feel seen and loved and understood, and then we in a unified manner do the 3 magical sighs. And it's just a beautiful way to kind of because it's similar to the idea of going from a music festival back to life. You're at these vibe events, you're having fun on the weekend, whatever it is you're doing, and then you got to go back to work Monday, and it's how can we continue the frequency that we created in these spaces and take it into our day-to-day lives when we're not with these people anymore? And that's really what vibe, but Mile High Shufflers, all these communities, that's what it's got to all be about, is we're just trying to equip all of us as humans to attack life from a more just a better place. And so love the 3 magical sighs. Also, I guess this doesn't really have anything to do with shuffling, but there's this huge trend going on right now with cold plunging and cold showers, and something I discovered recently, which maybe people do this already, but I have started doing the cold showers. And what I do is I wait till the end of the shower to then turn it cold. Yep. And what I do is I cue up a song that's roughly 3.5 minutes long, because that's what they say. They want you to 3.5 minutes of the plunge per day. So I cue up a song that's about that long, and then boom, right when the music starts, that's when you get it cold. And then you dance. You dance in the water, and if the water's coming here, then I'll put my arm through it, and then my neck, and then my other arm, and now my chest, and then I'll turn around. So I'm hitting every body part, and I'm doing it as I'm kind of dancing, and as I'm dancing, I'm breathing and I'm singing along, and I'm getting really into it. And you can still feel the cold, and it's still suffering to a degree, but you're not just standing there just suffering in the cold. So I've felt compelled to share with people that I do that, because it has really made a huge impact on me. I did it this morning. I mean, I feel like it has helped me with my clarity in this podcast. Even it's a beautiful thing. So cold showers, but add your favorite music and dance through the pain, dance through the cold, dance through the pain. That's a message for life. Just go out in life.
That's a great metaphor.
Dance through it. You know, fucking A, man.
No, that's sick, man. Because it's probably even deconditioning yourself to think this is gonna suck and it's supposed to suck. It's no, let's play through this.
Exactly.
Let's play through the suck. Let's make it a game. You know what I mean? So no, that's actually a really good insight, man.
And it's helped me with my dancing. It's helped me with my dancing. So it funnels right into this whole shuffle thing. It's eat well, drink a lot of water, take care of your body. Dancing is more than just practicing dance. If you get your lifestyle to a good place and your health habits, it flows right into your dancing, and then your dancing will ascend more and more and more.
100%. And it's all a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? If you want to have a healthier lifestyle, probably start dancing more.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? As well,
yeah.
you know? Get yourself out into the sunshine. Get yourself, out into the
Yeah.
park where you can form social bonds, that you
Yeah.
may or may not have been looking for to begin with. Like
Yeah.
from what you were saying, like from Cheeseman, you're always meeting people. So you just never know what else dance is doing for you in the peripherals.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
Dude, this has been so awesome.
What an honor.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's been great. No, what an honor on this end. Seriously, I know for a fact that this conversation has resonated with a lot of people. How can everyone reach out to you or connect with you once this is aired?
Absolutely. So the best way to reach out to me, I'll admit, is through Instagram. I have 2 Instagrams. One is Shambo Plays, so SHAMBO Plays, Shambo Plays, and that's like kind of been my dance Instagram, my creative expression Instagram, aside from photography. And then my other Instagram is Scotty Visuals, which has been my lifelong Instagram, and that's where you can scroll down and see what I was doing in 2013, and that's where I have my photography and stuff like that. So Instagram, either Scotty Visuals or Shambo Plays. And to crush any confusion, like I said, my birth name is Scott, and it's okay if you call me Scott. It's all good. But I received the name Shambo in a shamanic initiation back in August, and I've been stepping into that name ever since. And so I'm finally there where I'm like introducing myself as Shambo, and I'm owning it, and I love it, and it's the name that God gave me. So, but yep, Instagram, and then catch me at Cheeseman. Catch me at come to a vibe event. So Vibrate. We're on Instagram. Vibrate your best energy. That's a good way to find me. Is anything vibe related, and you can also reach out to the Vibe Instagram, and you can get a hold of me through there too. And I'm open to all of it. Open to any inquiry. But yeah, I guess that's really those are my. I could just shout my phone number right here. I don't know. I don't know if that's like what you're supposed to do.
We'll do it. Yeah. But maybe if you decide later on that's a good idea, we'll put it in the show notes too. We'll put everything in the show notes. But dude, brother, thank you so much. This was the interview that I didn't know that I needed. Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. And I really just cherished our conversation. Thank you. Thank you so
Patty.
much.
Thank
Give
you.
me a hug.
Yes. Yes. I love you, brother.
I love you too.
I love you so much.
That is a wrap, my friend.
All right.
Oh, man, that was great. Thank you for listening to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We are past the launch, and I'm so appreciative of the support that the show has received. You guys have really stepped up in a huge way, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I know this is a big ask due to the show just starting, and it's very much in its infancy, but any and all support would really be amazing from you guys. So I just wanted to come on and list a couple ways that you guys can help out the podcast moving forward. So first and foremost, subscribing to the YouTube channel would be a huge help. Among, also sharing and following the show on other social media platforms, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but in particular, YouTube will really help increase the visibility of the show, and it can help to reach a wider audience as well. In addition to this, leaving a review on anywhere where podcasts are distributed, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, can really leave a positive impression on new listeners, and it will help them discover the podcast more readily. Also, engaging with the podcast, so leaving comments, participating in social media discussions, and just anything that would really help build a community around the podcast would be of great assistance. And please feel free, DM me my personal Instagram at Patty Creates, or the show's Instagram at the Shuffle Curious Podcast, with the spaces being underscores. I would love to hear any feedback, any ideas, any discourse around the show. It would be an honor to hear you guys out and implement some of the ideas and the feedback that you guys have for me. Also, donating to the podcast directly or purchasing a Shuffle Curious shirt would help out a lot. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of energy, and unfortunately money that goes into the podcast, and it will continue to go into the podcast. So let's just get one thing straight here. It's really been a complete joy doing the show. And no matter how much or how little monetary assistance the show receives, we'll still be performing the mission of bringing the Shuffle community together. But with a little bit of help, I'll be able to travel more for these interviews, buy better equipment, be able to compensate all the amazing people who have made the show a reality and have volunteered their time, things of that nature. So buying a shirt would be much more than buying a shirt. And I don't know if you guys realize, but if I ever saw someone at a festival wearing a Shuffle Curious podcast shirt, you would be my best friend in a huge way. I'd love to see it, and I'd give you a big bear hug. So you can purchase these shirts on the Instagram bio of the show, also the show's website, and then I'll have links in the show notes as well. As for the donation, just please, send me a DM if you feel inclined to donate to the show. I will definitely entertain that, and if you're so inclined, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm not going to create a button for donating to the show or GoFundMe or anything like that. It would just be a conversation between you and I. So, and I thank you for that consideration. But lastly, you guys have supported the show just by listening. Also, listening to this whole outro, that's awesome. You guys rule for doing that. And I just cannot understate my appreciation for all of you guys for being a part of this crazy ride that it's been so far. So without further ado, I wanted to get on, give you guys a couple of ways that you can support. You can run with as many or as little of them as you would like. But I thank you, regardless for your listenership and support. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Please get out there and dance, stay curious, and I will see you in the next episode, friend.